Welcome to the Life You Love podcast.
We're your hosts, Grace Lemire
and Erin Convertini.
This podcast is for the dreamers and the doers.
For the women who want to create a life they genuinely love waking up to.
We believe that life's short, so let's build one we love. Welcome back to another episode of the Life You Love podcast. Today is our monthly Q&A. We do these every month, the last Friday of every month, and we pull the questions from Spotify. So if you have any questions for any future Q&As, definitely leave them in there. We have some good ones today. I'm excited. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's get into the first one. Okay, someone asked us in Spotify, they said we should do a favorite things episode, the products that we bought that we loved this year and what we would repurchase / wouldn't repurchase. I feel like this is probably better for a Q&A and not an entire episode, but do you have anything from 2025 that you love?
The one thing I can think of off the top of my head is Dazzle Dry. I've talked about it a bunch on my social media, but what year are we in? 2025. In 2024, it developed randomly this. I used to get dip nails done at the nail salon for literally years. And I developed, oh my gosh, I can't speak. I developed this random allergy to an ingredient that is in dip, gel, acrylic. Literally, I'm allergic to acrylates. So my eyeballs, my eyelids were literally getting swollen shut and red and itchy. It was just insane. And my face. So I had to find a nail product that was non-toxic, didn't have that ingredient, and would actually last long, because I don't enjoy doing at-home manicures. And if they chip after 1 week, it's just nope. But I love having my nails done. And Dazzle Dry is exactly that. I bought a starter set back in January, and I literally just ran out of them at the beginning of November. So the fact that a $40 kit and a $20 nail polish, $60 total, lasted me 11 months is insane. And it's on my nails now if you're watching the video version. I absolutely love it. That's I am ride or die now for Dazzle Dry.
I love that. I want to start getting back into doing my own nails because I'm not a nail salon girl. It's not going to happen. But I also love when people have their natural nails very well manicured. And I feel like I don't want to start doing polish on mine, but I want to start manicuring my natural nails more, letting them grow out, filing them, putting a cuticle oil on. And I'm just not that girl right now. They're just nubby right now. My favorite thing from 2025 is actually my favorite thing from 2024 too. But it's still just the thing that I have in my hand 24/7, and it's my iPad. I became such an iPad girl in 2024, and again still in 2025. I just love having not a desktop for my laptop, if that makes sense. So you know how on your iPhone you can make your home screen really cute and aesthetic with all of the widgets? I haven't done that to my iPhone. My iPhone is an absolute disaster. I'm the girl that has 1,000 unopened text messages all the time. But my iPad is very maintained, and my home screen is so cute. The widgets are I did it at the beginning of 2025, and I just love opening my iPad every single day and having all of my widgets and my apps. And that's the other benefit of having an iPad over a computer, is that you have the applications of all of the systems that you use instead of the desktop version. So for example, I use Notion for literally everything. My Notion planner is on there. We use Notion for the podcast. I use Notion at work. And I have the Notion app on my iPad as opposed to having to go into the desktop version of Notion. And I just think the app is so much more seamless. So I'm on my iPad literally 24/7. It's my absolute favorite thing. I feel like the only other thing that I could mention for 2025 is some of the furniture pieces that I bought for my home, because obviously I'm here 24/7. I love my house, but I really love how I decorated my main floor specifically. So between my dining room table, the bar stools at my kitchen island, I just really love how everything came together. And I stare at it every single day and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute in here. So I feel like that would be the only other thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Well, also, I love my iPad. I have an iPad mini. My brother got it for me for Christmas years ago, and I use it to read before I go to bed because I like to turn the lights off when I read. And then I put it to where it's the black background and white text. And it's just reading in the dark and getting me all nice and cozy before bed. I absolutely love it. But I also love the furniture. Well, some of the furniture. I'm not in love with my couch, but how I decorated my space feels so me. But that's a bunch of random. It's in our shop my. It's in our shop my and our LTK. Okay, the next question says, I don't know if y'all can relate, but I go through seasons of being able to stay with a routine. When I fall off hard, and it takes me forever to restart. Does this happen to you too? how can you fast track getting back on a routine because falling off is human?
I can 100% relate to this because I fall off of my
Yes.
routines all the time. I'm actually not really in a great place with most of my routines, I would say. The big ones being my morning routine and my like gym routine. I still work out, but it's not very it's kind of at whatever point in the day I can slot it in. Was earlier this year and going back into 2024, I was very like wake up at 5:30 in the morning, go to the gym first thing, get it out of the way, and that's just not who I am right now, and that's okay. I think for me, because I definitely fall off of my routines hard, you have to really want to get back into your routine. Like, I'm not in a phase right now where I really care to go back to waking up at 5:30 in the morning, but I feel like going into the spring, I probably will start to get that itch again once it stays daylight for more hours of the day and things like that. I probably will get back into it. And I think the biggest thing is recognizing and accepting that in order for that to be the case, a different priority in your life is going to have to fall to the wayside. Like, if you do want to start an exercise routine, okay, well, that's an hour and a half of your day realistically. So, what is going to give? Are you going to stop prioritizing your career as much if you work 24/7? Are you going to maybe start saying no to some social things because you want to go to bed earlier so that you can wake up earlier? I think accepting that that's going to be a bigger priority in your life is where you have to start. And then after that, I'm very much so like a rip the band-aid off kind of girl. I think I hear a lot of advice that's like, well, if you want to become a morning person, wake up 15 minutes earlier every day. I'm not that. Like I will go from waking up at 8 a.m. to just setting the 5:30 alarm and like probably scheduling a workout class so that I absolutely can't miss it or else I'll
Mhm.
get charged. You have to just rip the band-aid off and accept that you're going to be tired for a couple of days and then your body will reset and it'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I feel that too. I'm the same way where I will have a really good routine for a while and then I'll fall off for a little bit. I used to be, gosh, when I worked at a daycare back in college and I would start my shifts at like 7 or 7:30 a.m. I was just so disciplined. I'd wake up, yeah, at 5 o'clock, be at the gym by 5:20, work out till 6:15, shower at the gym, get ready, then drive over to work. Like I was so disciplined. But also I had very little social life because by the time I got home, I would eat dinner and then I'd have a 45-minute drive home. I was exhausted. And then I had to go to bed because now I'm waking up at the crack of dawn the next day. So like I think that for me now when I'm on a routine for a while and then I fall off, I'm the same way. I'm just like rip the band-aid off, set the early alarm if you're trying to get into your morning routine or for me, my night routine, I went through a season this year where I'd be up to like midnight doing puzzles because I was like on a really big puzzle kick and that was just throwing off my routine. So it's like, okay, put the puzzle away, step away from the puzzle at 8 p.m., start to do my night routine. Like there is just a level of discipline that comes with getting yourself back on your routines, honestly.
I agree. I also think for me, I really struggle with being not all in on something. Like when I graduated from college, it really, in the second 2 years of college and then graduating from college, I was such a gym girl. Like I was almost too into it, right? Like I never missed a day, counted my macros. I was so into it. And to an extent, I feel like I'm too far away from that right now where I,
Hmm.
I want to be more into it, but I struggle finding a happy medium where, like, if I look back to that period of my life, a lot of it was from a place of like, body image stuff
Yeah.
and insecurities with that and wanting to be in my best physical shape for the aesthetic purposes, and I'm kind of out of that, so I'm having trouble finding this kind of like happy medium where I do it because I love it and I'm still in it, but I'm doing it for the right reasons. So
Hmm.
I think if you find yourself in that phase too, just really figuring out why you want to be doing what you're doing. Like don't set a 5:30 morning routine just because you feel like you have to. Like what's the why?
Yes.
And I think that that
Yeah.
can help.
And if you're figuring out if you're doing it for the right reasons and the reason that is like I want to be more balanced or I want to exercise more or whatever, then it's kind of like, okay, then focus on that. Focus on the more of like, okay, well, yeah, today I am so physically exhausted. I know that if I go to the gym, I'm probably going to have like some really bad form. So, like, maybe I just go for a walk instead. And that doesn't mean that your routine is now totally off. Or for example, there are some nights where it was a night earlier this week. I went to a church event with my friend. We ended up getting caught up outside and talking like super late. By the time I got home, it was so late. I unfortunately had to wake up. I slept like a little bit later the next morning. I didn't wake up as early, but I still had to wake up early. And that's okay. So my routine looked a little bit different that morning when I woke up because the night before I was out, enjoying being a girl in her 20s and soaking up, hanging out with my friends. That's totally fine. That doesn't mean like, "Oh my gosh, I'm terrible at routines and da 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 da." Because the point of my routine is to start my days off on a better foot and to start with a clearer mind and to not open my phone first thing when I wake up. And so I think that's a good way to get yourself back. I also will say too, before we go to the next question, I also think I'm a big visual person and I like using a habit tracker. I have a free one in my bio, but I think you can like make your own. You can find them online or whatever, but I like printing out a habit tracker and hanging it like on my fridge. Even if I don't end up checking things off on it, it's just a reminder that I have a goal and I have something that I've set for myself. And I find it motivating to kind of help me get back on track too. Helps me with the discipline.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you said too about kind of giving yourself grace for other priority areas in your life too. And this is something that I'm definitely learning as well. Like I have so many other priorities other than working out and exercising in my morning
Hmm.
routine and that's okay. One, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, one thing that has helped with that and finding that balance is I set kind of a non-negotiable rule for myself. This is probably 6 to 12 months ago I would say that I've been doing this, that I don't miss a workout 2 days in a row. So Tuesday, I went to hot yoga. It was a really good workout. And then yesterday, I didn't go to the gym and I walked my dog a little bit, but I really
Yeah.
didn't exercise. But it's like today, I'm going to go because that's my rule for myself. I don't miss a workout 2 days in a row unless I'm ill or something.
Yeah.
But generally, so I
Yeah.
think that can help too, just finding that balance.
Yeah, I know some people do the I don't know if it's like some challenge that someone created or what it is, but I see a lot of people do this. Their like non-negotiable is 3 workouts a week. And I'll see people post like 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3. And yeah, I don't know if someone like created that, but it's basically just creating some sort of framework that you agree to. Okay, next question is what is your advice for dating while building your career? I feel like I don't have time for relationships, but also don't want to be alone forever.
Okay, I love this question. I really do. And this is coming from someone who has dated a good amount in their 20s and has spent like most of their adult life in relationships, I would say. I think it's a big disservice to us as women to focus on your career so much in your 20s that you kind of put dating to the wayside and don't date at all throughout your 20s. And maybe this is a hot take. Feel free to disagree with me. But I don't think it can be one of those things that you, like, put off until your 30s or 40s, right? Like, I do think that if it's your goal to get married and have children, because that might not be everybody's goal, and that's totally fine. I think that it's important to still prioritize it to an extent in your 20s, because I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned is that dating, the experience is important because it teaches you what you want and what you don't want, and it gets you closer to finding your forever person. We talk about this all the time. Like, if you didn't have your prior relationship experiences, it would be so hard to just jump into your first relationship and be like, oh my gosh, I found my person. Like, for most people, that doesn't happen. So, if you prioritize your career so much in your 20s and your early 30s, and then all of a sudden you wake up 10 years later and you're like, okay, I'm ready to get married and have kids now. Like the chance that the first person that you meet is going to be your forever person is just, that's not how the world works for a lot of people. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that could potentially be a hot take and definitely feel free to disagree with me and leave your thoughts and opinions in Spotify. But that's just kind of how I feel. I do feel like it has to be a priority.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the way that I look at it is you have to decide. You don't have to choose one over the other. I think that's the big thing. It doesn't have to be that, you can want both things out of life. I want a really big, full career and I want a really great relationship. I do think that there are seasons where things are and aren't a priority. For example, earlier this year, like I deleted all the dating apps. I was like, I'm not going to any sort of singles nights at church, nothing, I'm not doing none of that. I am focusing just on myself because I recognized in that moment my priorities are elsewhere. My priorities are on taking care of my health and on work and building my community here. I don't want dating to be a priority. If I happen to be out and about and someone, asks me on a date, sure, that's fine. But there can be seasons where one thing is more of a priority than the other. I will also say that if you are the ambitious girl who's like, you are investing a lot of time into your career, you're investing a lot of time into your routines and your habits, and you're in that kind of energy and you don't have a lot of spare time, run a strict program. Like, don't go on dates with someone who maybe checks four of the boxes that you're looking for, but not the fifth. And I mean like important things. I'm not saying, oh, like, he wears glasses and you typically don't date men with glasses. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying sometimes I think, especially as we get older, it's easy to be, and I've seen this in my own life and like in myself. Sometimes you're looking at somebody objectively. For example, I really want to be with someone who's like entrepreneurial or is like very established in their career. I don't want to date someone who's like earlier in their career or who's still kind of figuring it out, because I'm not figuring it out. Like, I mean, I'm figuring it out to some degree, but I'm established at where I'm at. And I could look at somebody and say, okay, he is Christian. He seems to have really good community. He seems really intelligent, but he's not established in his career. I'll still go on a date with him. No, why would I do that? Don't do that. Run a strict program. No, like, I want someone who is established. I don't want to date someone for the potential that they might have in 5 years. I want to be like, okay, if you're, this age, where are you at? What are you doing? That's what I'm looking for. Some people, that's not a priority to them. So I think like, don't go like, not saying this person who asked this question is doing this, but just like advice for everybody. Be very particular about who you're going on dates with. And if you're talking to somebody before a date too, and let's say, you're messaging them whatever on a dating app, and then, it's just conversation isn't really like seeming good, or, they say something about themselves that you're like, ooh, like I'm not into that. It's okay to say, hey, I actually I don't really want to go on the date anymore, because the date is your time. That is your time. Like, you're going to go and spend 2 hours with this individual, when sometimes I'm like, I would rather spend the 2 hours by myself, not even to work on business stuff, just to be by myself. So I don't know. I think it's important to run a strict program and not just, don't accept dates with everyone. Be very particular with who you're going on dates with, where you're spending your time. And also recognize that there will be seasons where you're putting more time into one thing over the other, and that's okay. But I agree with you that I think if you do want to be married and have kids, I think that it should be a priority. Because, yeah, then, I mean, if you're okay making work your priority, your sole priority until you're 30, and then you start to date after, that's cool. Like, I would love to be married and have a child by 30. So I need to make it a priority, but that goes for everything in your life, you know?
Yeah, I also think if you're kind of sitting here being like, "Okay, I know I want to make it a little bit more of a priority, where do I start?" I think it's also important to note that you can actually just prioritize your friendships and your social life instead of prioritizing, like, downloading Hinge and going
Mhm.
on, like, X number of Hinge dates per week, and that's probably a little bit more fruitful because I actually was talking to a friend about this over the weekend, talking about, and it was my friend who was also in a relationship, is definitely not on the dating apps anymore, and she met her person actually on a trip, and so now she's in a long distance relationship, but she met him out in the wild. But she was talking about how because she's like very into her faith and she isn't into the dating apps from a faith-based perspective, basically saying like she believes that God put her person like in front of her out in the wild, like for a reason. And when you're swiping on the dating apps, that kind of like goes against that because you're seeking it out. I don't know how she said it. She probably said it a little bit more articulate than that, but that was basically the premise of it. But I think if you're in a situation where you're like viewing dating as just downloading the dating apps and going on a bunch of dates with a bunch of random people, it doesn't have to be that. It can just be a matter of getting yourself out and about more to give yourself more of a chance to meet somebody that you could prioritize into a relationship. Like if I've actually never met a boyfriend from I've had the dating apps in the past, but I've never met a boyfriend from the dating apps. I've always met them in person. So you can just prioritize like doing things that you love and putting yourself in a situation to meet somebody that's also interested in the same things as you. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to go on 2 Hinge dates a week to prioritize
Yeah.
dating.
I even think it's like the one thing that when I was prioritizing dating, which I'm not at the moment, but when it was priority, I was like, how can I just be more open? Like when I'm at a coffee shop, can I sit there without my headphones in for a little bit longer? Can I smile at the cute guy across the room? Like even that, or if I am at, pickleball, instead of sitting there on the side of the court on my phone when I'm waiting for my turn to go up, can I stand there with open body language that someone feels comfortable to come up and speak to me? Or, if I'm going to the cold plunge and sauna place, my friend loves that place. It's like okay, when she's there, maybe she's instead of, yeah, being on her phone or something, she sparks up a conversation in the sauna or, or just I've been trying to one of my goals in 2026 is to go to more in-person, like, business entrepreneurship networking type of events, or just they do some in Tampa that are like jazz and networking, and it's like, all entrepreneurs and whatnot. I've just been like, I don't want to speak to strangers this year. Like, I don't want to carry conversations with people, but I'm like, Grace, you've got to get boots on the ground. Like, we need a husband, girl. We need a husband. Okay. He's not going to just fall into your balcony. So I'm trying to like go out. But the thing is it's not all about just like meeting a potential partner there. Those are things I would enjoy anyways, like meeting other people, meeting women, just talking to people and exchanging value. And so I think, yeah, if you can
Yeah.
find areas to just do things you already are doing, try to focus on being more open, or when I go out, can I spark up a conversation, like set a goal for myself to spark up a conversation with anyone, even if it's not someone that you're potentially interested in, just getting in the habit of sparking up those conversations, I think can kind of make it a little bit easier, like time wise.
Yeah, and you also never know how making new friends can introduce you to your person because you
Mhm.
can sometimes meet people as like a friend of a friend. The other thing to note here, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, but just being more prepared. And what I mean by this is look more put together on a daily basis, not so that you look prettier to attract a man, but so that you feel more prepared to be confident in talking to someone. For example, let's say you go to the gym every single day. And if you go to the gym first thing in the morning and you just like roll into the gym like you just rolled out of bed, you are not going to want to talk to literally anybody. I do that all the time. I go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm in that phase, and there's no chance I'm gonna speak to any single person at that time. But if you feel more prepared when you, like, see a cute guy and you're like, "Oh, I, like, look cute, like, I'm prepared to talk to somebody." Like, if you are in that phase and you're looking to meet somebody, be more prepared on a daily basis. Even just going to the grocery store, like, put on an actual outfit. Don't be walking in the grocery store in your pajamas because if you see a cute guy, you are never going to speak to him in your pajamas. Like, it is such a real thing. So just be a little
Yeah.
bit more prepared on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want us to do a full episode on this because I could definitely talk about dating for a very long
Mhm.
time.
Same.
Okay. The last one that we have here, this is a little bit of a longer one, but this says, I'm curious as two girls who are content creators, how does physical insecurity play a part in making your content? For example, do you ever find it hard to film if you feel like you don't look good for some reason? I find that it takes me so much energy for me to film because I'm trying to avoid bad angles. I'm making sure I'm wearing the right outfits, etc. So I'd love to know if you both deal with this. And if so, how do you overcome it? Your content looks so effortless. LOL.
Okay, I have some thoughts here. Okay, first of all, I would say, first of all, thank you so much that you think our content
It's so
looks
not
effortless.
effortless.
I'm going to assume that I don't know if this question was left in Spotify.
It was.
Okay, I'm assuming it's directed at both of us. So thank you so much. So it's never effortless, but I will say, okay, when I first started content, I would get really, especially when it came to my like not necessarily my face, but when I was getting like shots of myself vlogging and things, because you'll look in the mirror like when you go to the bathroom or something, but seeing like a weird side angle, or oh gosh, the angle from behind, like when I get angled straight on from behind, I'm like, my butt is shaped like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, why does my back look like, but I would try to then I would feel like awkward about how things looked. But honestly, over time, I think I just kind of adopted the mindset of like body neutrality in a way where I was like, there's a really good book. It's called Don't Believe Everything You Think. I've mentioned it before on the podcast. It is so good. And I think everyone reads it. If you have any sort of critical thought about yourself, other people, spiraling thoughts, anxious thoughts, anything, if you think, read the book. Um, and it basically, one of the things, and this doesn't spoil it, you should read the rest of the book, but one of the things it talks about is the difference between a thought and thinking. And a thought is like the thought that comes to your mind. Thinking is where you start to give it meaning and you start to kind of like ruminate on it. So when I adopted that mindset, instead of me taking videos of myself vlogging or something and being the other day I was taking content for a brand actually, and I was just like, I don't know if I was having an endo flare or bloated or whatever, but my little like below my belly button, y'all know if you get a period, that like area, it was just like protruding. And I was like, okay. And I took the like content and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, I was like, what is going on there? Okay. And instead of me being like, now we have to redo the whole thing, you look ridiculous, you look bad, da da da, and like spiraling, I was like, okay. It's like, we're looking bloated, period. End of sentence. And I don't need to think any harder about it. I'm going to submit the picture to the brand. Here's the picture, here's the video. It's really fine. Like, it doesn't have to mean anything. Did I try to get another little angle where I was like, maybe I'd feel a bit better? Yes. But like, to me, it's just like, it's not that deep. I also think that it's just, yeah, I was kind of like, you know what? There's going to be days where I even filmed a video yesterday where the lighting was just highlighting every bit of acne that I have. And I was like, okay, am I going to refilm the whole thing though? No, because it's just like, that is me. That is my skin. That is my little belly bloat. Yep. Sometimes my hair looks a little spooky from behind. Sometimes I under eye bags look bigger than on other days. And that's just me. I think that's the human experience. That's the reality of it. I also personally don't want my own page to feel overly curated to where it feels like you never catch me in a sweatshirt. You never, I mean, overly curated for my life. There are people who live that way and there's nothing wrong with it. But like, I love loungewear. I love not putting my makeup on and my pimples are just breathing so that they can heal. I sometimes brush my hair and it looks really weird because I don't style it, but I just brush it. Like, that's just me. And I want my page to reflect that. And I just, yeah, I don't know. I think it comes from like accepting yourself as you
Yeah.
are.
I took this a little bit less from the physical insecurity perspective, which I know that's what the question was kind of asking, but I took it a little bit more from the like overthinking every little thing when it comes to filming a video. And I feel like to a certain extent, I almost got worse at this as the years went on because, and I think it's when I made the switch from solely posting on TikTok to posting my videos on TikTok and Instagram because Instagram feels so much more curated than
Hmm.
TikTok does. Like if I scroll on the Instagram explore page versus scrolling on the TikTok for you page, Instagram feels kind of like my Pinterest. And maybe that's just the type of content that I like interact with, but it feels so curated and like girly and cute fonts and the lighting's so good. But then when you scroll on TikTok, it's like girls sitting there just propping up the camera, their hair's in a bun, they're in a sweatshirt, and they're just telling a story. And I feel like when I first started creating content, I was only on TikTok and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but when I first started, I challenged myself to post 3 videos a day for 60 days just to give myself a crack at it and see if I could like make this into something. And my videos were not curated at all. At the time I was living with my ex-boyfriend in his college frat house. The lighting in that house was so terrible. It was insane. Like I go back and look at those videos sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that anybody watched this because the lighting was so bad. My hair never looked good. I never had makeup on in those videos. And I kind of didn't care because I was just in the mindset of posting quality over quantity almost, or quantity over quality and quality in the sense of how my videos physically look. And now I feel like I overthink everything to the point where some days I won't even post a video because I'll have a video idea for what I want to say to the camera, but I won't be inspired with the visual of it. I'll be like, I don't know where in my house I want to film this. So I won't even film it, right? Or I'll feel like I need to go put my hair and makeup together so that I can sit down and film that video. So I overthink everything to the point where sometimes the video doesn't even get posted. And I'm really trying to get out of that. Like if you have a video idea, I don't care how you look, just literally pull up the camera. You don't need to film on the back camera. You don't need to have amazing lighting. Literally just talk and freaking post it. Who cares?
Hmm. I agree. I think it's a slippery slope between like I think if you start to overthink it's good to think about your content, right? It's good to like think about the visual and the lighting and how am I presenting myself? Even for example, the other day I did a video on like unrotting my brain and I plugged it to the podcast and I put on these little glasses that I have because that's like a visual people associate glasses with being smarter. And so when I'm talking about like the brain, like that's a visual that adds to the video. But and it's good to think about those things, but at the same time, you can overthink yourself into inaction. And I do the same thing where I'll overthink something too hard and, then never end up posting it. But the goal should be to just like get content out. But also like I think going back to what I was saying before, don't give every like just like quit nitpicking yourself, That's really what it comes down to. Like, and I think also people don't notice things the way that we do. I've posted videos where I'm like, oh my goodness, my hair looks a little stupid here. And then people will comment and be like, oh my gosh, you're glowing. I'm like, hello. I sat there and looked at myself being like, you have an egghead in this video. Or, oh my gosh, I see the little bald patch that you have. Or, dang, my pimple looks so big here. And then people don't even notice it. And if anyone notices it, it doesn't mean that they're thinking anything of it either. And I saw this video too. It was like a couple months ago. Someone was like, what do you notice? I bet you don't notice what I notice about these photos. And it was like a carousel of all these pictures of this girl. Then she pointed out the things that she noticed about it. And it was like how her arm looked in it in a picture, and how her belly kind of rolled over her jeans in one of the other pictures. And a lot of women were commenting and they were like, I noticed every single thing that you noticed in all these photos, but I noticed them because they're insecurities I have. Like, I didn't notice the arm in your photo and be like, oh my gosh, her arm looks so big. And out of judgment, it's because that's things that we're all insecure about. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of how, like, I'm like, whatever. If you see my pimple, if you think I look, chunky in this, like, I don't care what you think about, how my body looks. I only need to love myself. I don't need anyone else's approval on that. Um, like on my physical appearance. But then if someone does see it and judges me, it's only because of what they think about themselves, you
Yeah,
know? I think
100%.
it gets better though over time, I will say.
Yes,
So
I will
keep
say
going.
the biggest takeaway is just to not give yourself time to overthink. Like, if I think back to the videos that have gone viral in the past, specifically on TikTok, because that's where I do a lot more like talking to camera videos. If I think back to the viral videos that I've had, 9 times out of 10, I would say they're videos that I film on the spot, like very impromptu. I have a thought and I'm like, okay, let me just film this. If a video goes into your notes app, it dies in the notes app. Okay. Like, it dies there. That's when you overthink. That's when like you filter all of your thoughts. You're not speaking as authentically. So if you have a thought, literally just prop up the camera, film it and post it, and don't rewatch it. Maybe go read some comments and respond to some comments for engagement, but like don't overthink it. I feel like that's the biggest takeaway.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of today's Q&A. Like we said at the beginning of this episode, we do these once a month. We release them on the last Friday of every single month. So if you have any questions for next month's Q&A, definitely leave them in Spotify. And if you're listening to any other episodes throughout the month, you can leave questions on those episodes in Spotify as well if they like prompt any thoughts or questions. So definitely leave all of those in Spotify. But thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.